So today, of course, is a body type video, shocker, but we're gonna talk about 3 ways you can identify your body type if you're struggling to figure out what it is, or if you feel like the way you look doesn't necessarily match what actually happens with your body. So let's figure that out. So I'm gonna assume everyone watching this video is probably over the age of 20. So what you can do is go back, find some pictures, or remember if you don't have a lot of pictures, and figure out what you look like between the ages of 12 and about 17. When all the major hormone changes happen, when puberty hits, when you start to lose the original baby fat you may have had, or just when your body starts to kind of level out until its natural state. And most of the time, for most people, that's between the ages of 12 and 17. So go back and look at those pictures and then reference old videos as to what certain body types look like aesthetically, and that could help you out. Because now you could be older, life happens, bad dieting, not consistent in the gym, and you may look a little bit different than you did between those ages. So figure out what you look like between 12 and 17. Okay, so number 2, you found the pictures, you looked at the pictures, and you still can't tell what's going on. Cool, perfect. Number 2 is think about how you feel after certain workouts. So we're gonna break this down into cardio, weights, and mix or interval HIIT style training, right? So let's start with cardio. So if you go for long runs and you feel like your joints are hurting after your long duration runs, like a jog at the park, a mile on the treadmill, something like that. If you find that your joints, your back, your knees, your ankles are kind of bothering you, you're more than likely one of the blend types, Ectomorph blend or Endomorph blend, or you're an Ectomorph, all right? So you're one of those 3 types if your joints kind of hurt when you do long duration style cardio. If you notice that sprints and high power cardio feels good to you, like sprinting up the hill, jumping on the box, slamming ropes, throwing balls around, if you like that stuff, then you belong to the same group, because that's kind of how you're built. If you notice that the high intensity type cardio output activities kind of tire you out, or that hurts, then you're probably on the endo side of things, or you could be a mesomorph that just goes really hard. Okay, now let's talk about weights. So if you notice that you're really strong in the gym, lifting weights comes natural to you, the amount of weight that you put on seems to kind of be just in flow with the workout. You're not really having to adjust a whole lot. You're good with power reps. You're also good with volume reps. You're probably right in the middle with meso, okay? If you notice that you're not super strong in the gym naturally, but you can handle a lot of volume, you more than likely belong to the strict ecto, solid ecto, or solid endo types, all right? Now, if you notice that you're pretty strong, all right, you can handle the volume and you can handle the power, but when it comes to power, you kind of get fatigued a little bit, and then when it comes to volume, it kind of hurts when you do a lot because you don't really feel it unless you're picking up a certain weight and everything kind of feels confusing. That's because you're a blend type. And blend types, again, they have those tapered muscles, the short muscle bellies and everything. So you're actually built for power output, but at the same time, you don't have a lot of meat and girth in one area to really handle a lot of load, even though you are still pretty strong. So if you notice that you kind of feel all over the place in the weight room, but you're still comfortable with picking up weights and you enjoy it, you're probably a blend type. Okay, last one. Let's talk about cardio as it relates to HIIT training or Tabata training or interval training, or 30 on, 15 off, 20 on, 10 off, stuff like that, or most group exercise classes, right? So if you go to like group classes, like this is the type of training that I'm talking about. So if throwing a med ball and then doing the sprint and then running back and then falling to the ground and then rolling around and all of that type of stuff is what I'm referring to. If these things don't really bother you at all, or, you know, whatever, just kind of whatever, Mesomorph for sure. If you naturally enjoy these things, okay, then you belong to one of the endo types, which is going to be a strict endo or the endo-meso blend, which long duration plus a little bit of intensity is wonderful, okay? So now let's talk about the ecto types when it comes to high intensity interval training. Strict ecto. For high intensity interval training, you're probably not gonna like it because it's gonna hurt because you don't have a whole lot of cushion, you know, to catch and absorb impact the way some of the naturally thicker and girthier types do. So when it comes to like group exercise classes and running around and jumping around and falling down and getting back up and shit like that, you're probably gonna be upset and you'd rather not do that shit because it kind of hurt a little bit on the cool. Okay, if you are a blend type, you will be good at these things, but you will still hurt the same way that the strict meso type does. So if you're an ecto-meso, when it comes to jumping around and moving around, when people see you do it, they'll be like, oh, like that guy's a beast, like he can really handle this. But internally, you will be in pain the same way the ecto is, because it's kind of a split to where you have the meso working in your favor to where those things look great and they are highly performed on the surface, but the ecto part of you is still in pain the way that the ecto is in pain. So remember that. Feel free to rewind all of that and take notes, because I know that was a lot to try to remember off the dome, okay? But let's get into the last point, which is really my favorite point and the easiest one for people, especially if you're over the age of 20 and you've kind of moved out of that natural range to where you're in the space to where you have to maintain and sustain what you do, and like your habits kind of start to catch up with you, positive or negative, just depends, it's case by case. But what I like to tell people or ask them when they're trying to self-assess their body type is pay attention to and think about what your body does when you're not on a strict diet or workout program, and that will tell you where your natural state is. So we'll go start to finish. If you are a strict ectomorph, when you're not hardcore on your nutrition and your weightlifting program, you'll just get naturally skinny. But with the strict ecto, it's important to remember that you're going to start to shrink or shrivel or get slim, whatever word you want to use. You're going to start to see that evenly from head to toe, okay? When you're not hard on your diet and your workout regimen. Moving into the ecto-meso, when you are not hard or strict or concentrated on your workout diet and your exercise regimen, you'll start to get smaller like the ecto, but you'll start to get smaller in areas, all right? So you'll start to kind of look a little bad built. Like when you're hardcore, your shoulders are popping, your chest is sitting upright. When you're not on it, it's like the chest kind of stayed, but my forearms are looking skinny. Like my thighs kind of stayed, but my calves look weak. Like you'll start to notice, like, I think I'm still kind of muscular, but for some reason, I just look bad built and I don't know why. And that's because when you fall off, because you're a blend type, just like the endo-meso blend type, you start to kind of look bad built, but just in certain areas, so it's not all even. Meso, strict meso, when you fall off, you know what's up. You just look like whatever it is you are doing. So mesotypes will tend to maintain, or they'll kind of just be leveled out based on what they're doing. So if you're not hardcore lifting weights, if you're not hardcore in your diet regimen, and you're just kind of living life, but you're not really overeating and you're just kind of existing, you'll look like that because you kind of have that natural frame to where you may not be super shredded or toned or cut, but you'll still maintain your natural body shape and physique for the most part. It just won't really be as defined, all right? But again, you know the mantra for the strict meso, you are how you live. So If you're not strict and you start eating a lot, you can get fat. If you're doing a whole bunch of, you know, vegan type diet regimen or doing a lot of, you know, cardio or something like that, or just playing more recreational sports, you can get a little smaller, but all in all, you'll still maintain a pretty even, balanced frame. Endomeso, okay, so similar to the ectomeso, you are a blend type, all right, but you are a endomeso, which means that you have the endo component of naturally gaining weight and holding more girth without having to really do a whole lot. And you have the meso, which gives you that nice balanced frame, but when you fall off, you start to gain weight in specific areas and not evenly, okay? So the strict ecto, they lose weight evenly, and the strict endo, they gain weight evenly, but the endomeso, you gain weight in spots, okay? So similar to the ectomeso blend who loses weight in spots, you're going to start gaining weight in spots, which could cause you to have a nice balanced frame, but you got a pot belly, or your neck starts to look chunky and you're trying to figure out why, or you're just holding just a lot of girth, like right on top of your butt area or like in your calf somehow. You're trying to figure that shit out. Like, why am I, again, looking bad built, but only in certain areas? Like, it don't make sense, but you can't change it, man. That's genetics. Endo, when you fall off, you're gonna blow up all over. Keep it straightforward and simple. When you fall off, you're going to get big all over. But I don't really see that as a bad thing. I kind of wish I had some of that. Being an ectomeso, I'm falling off and I'm looking bad built. I know endomesos feel the same thing. Like, man, why I gotta look bad built? At least the endos can gain the weight evenly and still look good in their clothes and not look goofy. Like, the blend types always look goofy. I hate it, man. But anyway, endo, beware, gain weight from head to toe, water weight, additional fat. Of course, we all hate it, but in those two, just maintain your consistency, keep up your walks, keep up your moderate exercise, and you should be good to keep a lot of that water weight off. That's all we got for today. Hope this video helps somebody. Subscribe, share, leave a comment, do all the things. Y'all know what to do. See y'all next time. Peace. Eighth grade. Don't worry, man. I only eat food, not humans.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
What up, people? Just so y'all know, this shit is kind of good. So, I don't drink soda, but every now and then I kind of need that, or I desire. I don't need it. I desire that carbonation feel. This little carbonated water shit is kind of straight. They make another one that's in like it's a plastic bottle, Topo, Chico, something, whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about though. I kind of fuck with it a little bit, you know, it's all good. But today we need to talk about these blends, body type blends. So first of all, shout out to everybody that has purchased an ebook from wrxiii.com. Body type ebook, fitness ebook, exercise ebook, training guides, meal guides, lead you in the right direction based off how you are built, your body type. So hopefully the pictures on the website, the pictures on the page, the pictures on my page, some of the pictures on WRX page, WRX.III Instagram page are helping people kind of figure out their body type. If you are confused or if you have bad eyes and you cannot properly assess yourself, that is okay. You can click the Linktree link in my bio and on the WRX bio, and you can take the body type assessment. That is gonna cost you some money, straight up, but at least you'll have the correct answer and you won't be wasting additional money buying the wrong shit. But today we're gonna talk about blends, the blend body type. So I'm gonna go off the dome, no notes today. I'm gonna put both blends in the same topic, same conversation. So we're gonna talk about the ectomeso blend and the endomeso blend, or meso-endo blend, however you wanna say it. So The blend types, for the most part, means that you have a neutralizer. So you have the type of genetics that neutralize you in a certain way, but you still also belong to either extreme. So it becomes a little bit complicated with kind of how you view yourself, what your look is, how people perceive you, how you train, the type of things you can eat, etc. All right. So if you are in ecto-meso blend, it means that you are naturally thin, naturally skinny, naturally on the slimmer side, but because you have the meso component, and as we have talked about before, the extreme meso are the people that they are what they do. If they live in life like a fat ass, they look like one. If they live in life like a skinny person doing nothing but cardio and eating celery all damn day, that's what they look like. If they live in life like a meathead and all they do is lift weights and pound creatine, then that's what the fuck they look like. So the mesomorph, they are what they do. Now, if you are a blend, of course, you know, you're not an extreme mesomorph, but you do have that mesomorph quality. So if you are an ectomeso, you are naturally slimmer, but if you start picking up heavy shit, you can put some muscle on, you know, at a pretty moderate rate. So it won't be super quick and extreme like the extreme meso, but if you're lifting weights, you're in the gym, but you're naturally slim, you're gonna stay on the naturally slimmer side, but you will see those gains at a pretty average rate. You won't be struggling like the extreme ecto to put on that weight and that lean muscle mass, all right? If you are a endomeso or meso-endo, it means that you are naturally geared to being a little bit thicker, a little bit chunkier, a little bit meatier. You hold a little bit more weight, a little bit more girth on you. But at the same time, if you bust your ass in HIIT training and cardio and you increase the volume, lower the weight, you can tone up, you know, just the same way that the mesomorph can, all right? But you have to know that you are still a part of that endo family. So what that means for both blends, so the meso component of your blend neutralizes you out and kind of gives you your day in court, if you will. So it's kind of your peacemaker. But the extreme part of you means that you're going to naturally shift to that extreme if you don't take care of your meso component. So if you are an ectomeso and you are lifting weights to get swole and buff and all that type of shit, and you are doing that, that shit will work for you. Now, you will remain naturally slim, as stated. That's a broken record. But as soon as you start bullshitting, again, as soon as you start bullshitting, as soon as you stop eating, as soon as you stop lifting, as soon as you stop taking your recovery serious, you have to know that your ass still belongs to the ecto family. All right? So don't be thinking you get the same extreme mesomorph privileges to just fuck around and still be walking around looking cock swole and shit. Nah, homie, your ass is still a part of that ecto gene pool. Stop lifting weights and stop eating if you fucking want to. Your ass about to go right back to looking like goddamn Steve Urkel or fucking Patty Mayonnaise from Doug, all right? Po as fuck, all right? Same concept with the meso-endo type, all right? If you getting it in, if you consistent, you gonna be a nice little shape, nice little figure, little weight on you, little girth on you, you know, walking around buff or walking around looking all thick and shit. But as soon as you start fucking up, you gonna go right back to that endo side where you are struggling to keep the water weight off and the fat weight off and the unnecessary pounds and problem areas start to arise again and you trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. You don't get to fuck up. So, drink some more water real quick. So, with the blend type, you have to know that, yes, you do have the best of both worlds, but you still maintain the worst of both worlds when you start fucking up. So that's what you need to know. Myself, speaking for myself, as a meso-ecto type, I have to know that, yes, I can go in the gym and I can lift with the meso types and I'm just as strong and I can handle just as much shit, but I have to know that I still belong to the ecto family. So I can't be sitting my ass up in the gym for 2 hours lifting weights. I'm gonna start burning muscle. Can't do that. I ain't built like that. Mesomorph types go up in that bitch with a goddamn structured 2-hour plan and fucking lift weights for goddamn 2 hours and drink water and they still be swole as fuck. It's all good. They'll eat sometime later in the day. It's all good. But me, fuck no. Can't do that shit. All right. So I have to be really aware of what I'm doing. And the same thing goes for anybody that's a meso-endo type. All right. You can do all of that endomorph shit if you want to, but you got to know that you probably gonna have to pick up a little bit more weight to see certain results because your body can and will respond to that shit. And that's cool. So educate yourself, continue to grow and learn on your own personal fitness journey, own lifestyle journey, because that shit is important. We are not all built the same. You should know exactly how you're built, exactly what you bring to the table. And most importantly, you need to know exactly what you don't bring to the table and what you're not. Should have saved you a lot of time. Talk to y'all later. Peace. What up, y'all? So today we're going to talk about ectomorphs, which are going to be your naturally skinny people. For those who may not know, there are 3 main body types, which are ecto, meso, and endo. Ecto means you are naturally skinny. Meso means you are pretty balanced. And endo means that you are naturally bigger or thicker. So today's video is about ecto, a good way to know and understand what your body type is. Take a look at your real life. So take a look at, you know, how you're built, some of your habits, things that are happening to you. So if you notice you struggle to gain weight, you're probably an ectomorph. If you notice, you know, it kind of just depends on what you do. You're a mesomorph more than likely. Or of course, if you notice you struggle to lose weight, then pretty clear indicator that you probably an endomorph or have endomorph qualities. So with that being said, everything's not extreme. There's always gray areas. So you can be a blend, but you can only be a transitional blend. So that means that if ecto is super skinny, meso is balanced, and endo is really big, you can only be a transitional balance. So that means that it will always meet in the middle of meso if you are a blend. So you can be a ecto meso, so ectomorph, mesomorph qualities, or you can be a endo with meso qualities. You can be an endomorph and mesomorph qualities. We're going to do a separate video on that to talk about the different tiers of each body type and what the blends look like and what they feel like, etc. So not going to talk about that today, just sticking to the extreme general fundamental principles of ectomorph, some things you can do if you are an ectomorph looking to gain weight, and some things that you need to know about your lifestyle and training habits and assessment protocol if you are an ectomorph or if you notice you have ectomorph qualities. All right, so got my phone right here for notes. So I may be looking down every now and then. Don't panic. I'm not going to read from the phone. So start off looking down at the phone. Okay, first point. So general way to figure out if you're an ectomorph. Of course, you notice you really can't put on weight. It's a struggle for you to gain weight, even though you feel like you eat all the time. Another way you can figure this out is by taking tests online. They do offer certain assessment tests and quizzes you can take, but some other real life hacks you can do is first start off by taking a look at your genetics. So take a look at your family, take a look at your parents, kind of see how they're built, and that'll give you a pretty good ballpark indicator as to what your body may be doing or how it may be working for you or not working for you. Another good real life indicator is that if you notice you have really small wrists to where you can, you know, pretty much put your fingers around your wrist, or you can do the same thing or pretty close to doing the same thing around your ankles. And if you kind of notice that around your joint areas, you don't carry a lot of weight or a lot of thickness around your joints, that is a clear sign that you are an ectomorph or that you have ectomorph qualities about yourself. Also too, if your muscle bellies are really short or your muscles taper in a very extreme way. So what that means is that, you have a, let's say my forearm is muscular, but then it tapers off into like a really small wrist. Or if you have really nice calves and it tapers off into like this non-existent, stick of an ankle or a leg at the bottom. Those are ways that you know that you are an ectomorph or you have ectomorph qualities. Also, if you have longer limbs, so if you notice you have very long arms, long legs, long neck, long feet, toes, things like that, those are also some indicators that you could be an ectomorph. Or if you notice you have very slim features, so if you don't have, really thick hands, you have really, skinny fingers and toes and kind of skinnier features about you, longer, thinner features about you, then you're probably along the ectomorph qualities. Of course, we're talking about extremes. For those of you that may be a blend of ecto-meso, this may not completely fit you, but once again, we're just talking strictly hardcore ectomorph right now. So those are some things you need to know just about your body type and how to assess your body type moving forward. So let's take a look at the notes here. All right. Let's get into some tips. Some things you need to know as an ectomorph when it comes to you putting on weight or gaining weight. This video is for naturally skinnier people, skinnier girls and guys, and also trainers who may be training people who are naturally skinny and they're looking to gain weight. It's not every day you get a client who wants to gain weight. The majority of clients in our Gen Pop culture want to lose weight or maintain weight, or they're working out for more health conscious reasons, not necessarily to gain weight. So this could seem like something that is a no-brainer, but because we don't experience this a lot in the field, and because a lot of trainers don't really have a lot of background on how to deal with naturally skinnier people when it comes to gaining weight, this could be a challenge for a lot of people to understand. So let's go ahead and jump into it with the first tip. Is that you must train high volume if you are an ectomorph. So we must train high volume because time under tension is going to be your friend. You have to put an extreme amount of stress on the muscle for it to properly tear down and grow back in a bigger form. Why we train high volume as an ectomorph is because you picking up, 3 sets of 5 or doing 3 sets of 5 in the gym, that's going to get you strong, but that's not going to put enough tension on the muscle for you, enough consistent tension on the muscle for your muscles to grow. Remember, you don't have highly responsive muscle fibers when it comes to muscle growth. So unlike the Mesomorph, who can, and I'm joking right now, but for a Mesomorph that can just kind of look at the weights and think about lifting weights and get swole and get big, you cannot do that. So a Mesomorph can go in the gym and they can do 3 sets of 5, or they can do, 3 sets of 8 or 6, and they can put on some significant growth. So for an ectomorph, you have to do a little bit more volume when it comes to your resistance training. So you have to do anywhere between 4 and 5 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, and that'll be for each muscle group and each body group or each body part. So squats, bench press, pull-ups, shoulder work, arm work, calves, back, everything. So keep that in mind. You want to also try to make your last 1 or 2 sets just a max rep set. So that means you're increasing the weight as you go, but that last 1 or 2 sets, you're not even going for a rep range. You're just trying to put time under tension for the muscle. So you're just trying to rep out as many repetitions as you can to really shock the muscle so that it properly breaks down for growth. And then of course, when you leave the gym and you fuel and feed the body, that muscle will grow bigger and stronger for you. If you go in the gym as an ectomorph and you only do the traditional textbook, 3 sets of 5, where you're lifting like a power lifter, you're going to be really strong and really explosive, and you're still going to look like a puppet. All right, you're still going to be built like Woody from Toy Story or Pinocchio, looking malnutrition and unattractive and not aesthetically pleasing. You're going to be strong. You may perform better if you are an athlete, but you are not going to look like much, and you're not going to obtain your body goals that way. Okay, so you'll build strength that way. Not a lot of size, high volume is your friend if you are an ectomorph. All right, so moving on to number 2, and this is something that could really be an issue for people who are looking to gain weight, and a lot of trainers need to know and understand this about your ectomorph. Steady state cardio is not your friend. Okay, so this is tip number 2. If you are an ectomorph looking to gain weight and build strength, steady state cardio is not for you. So going to the park, jogging 2 or 3 miles at a time, doing the whole long bike rides, sitting on the stair climber for 45 minutes, or running on the treadmill for 45 minutes and all that type of stuff, for you, that is not your friend. Your body jumps into a fat burning zone almost immediately if you're an ectomorph. So whereas an ectomorph or an endomorph, this is a good way to warm up their core and get them into a fat burning zone as they increase their cardiovascular strength and lung capacity. For an ectomorph, this is your worst enemy. As soon as you step on that cardio, 2 minutes into it, you are burning not only fat, but you are also burning muscle, like quickly. All right, so you being in that steady state cardio session, you will have a great heart. Your heart rate will be beautiful. Your lung capacity and conditioning will be at the top of the charts, and you will still look like a stick, regardless of how many weights you lift. So when it comes to cardio for the ectomorph, you must exercise and do explosive movements. So sprints, burpees, battle rope, plyometrics, HIIT training. Things where you burst of energy, high knees, something like that, then you jog in place for maybe 10 or 15 seconds and you're right back into a burst. So what that means is that we're still putting a significant amount of tension on the muscle while we still obtain that cardiovascular effect. So steady state cardio is not it. For an ectomorph, you need to do quick bursts of activity, because remember, you jump into your fat burning zone really quick, but we still want to exercise time under tension for the muscle. So steady state cardio will just have you in really good shape, and you still won't be really fitting your clothes good or gain any weight or really put on a significant amount of muscle. So really good tip for you to know and understand. And last thing, most important thing, this is the most important thing for any body type, but super important in a slightly different way for ectomorphs. And the top tip is going to be your nutrition. So nutrition, recovery, and supplements. So supplements, we're not talking about the things that, make you super crazy and you feel like, you're taking steroids or something illegal or you're doing the most. So when we're talking about supplements today, we're talking about things that really just help aid in the recovery process and expedite those things for you in a healthy way, so that you have just a little assistance on top of your basic nutrition needs for an ectomorph. So remember, as an ectomorph, you kind of stay in this fat burning zone. Your metabolism rate is a little bit higher than the meso and the endomorph. So you need a little additional help when it comes to recovery for building muscle. Now, you may be able to catch your breath and feel like you're recovered and be able to go, day to day and feel fresh for your workouts. But as an ectomorph, your body does not really recover at a high or fast and optimal enough rate to really pack on that muscle and those muscle gains. You're just not naturally built that way. So you need additional help, not only from your base nutrition, but also from things like glutamine that help with muscle recovery, creatine, things that help you build strength, amino acids, things of that nature. Now, you can take pre-workout. If you're not into stimulants or something you want to stay away from, that is perfectly fine. You do not have to take or need to take pre-workout, but it will help you really increase your intensity in the gym. It may provide you with a little bit of a boost to lift more weights and move through all of your high volume training that is necessary for your body type. So something to consider. But once again, if you ain't really messing with the stimulants, you don't like the way it makes you feel, or you have other conditions that steer you away from using caffeinated products or stimulant based products, then please do not take pre-workout, okay? But some of the other things like glutamine, amino acids, protein powder, creatine, those things will help and aid in your muscle recovery, strength, and muscle repair. So, let's see what else I got. My notes keep going away. So, another thing for trainers to also know and understand when you are creating, and then even for people who are maybe creating their own plans as an ectomorph, you have to know that the objective is a little bit different. So calorie intake is really important, all right? And I know that is, you know, almost taboo for trainers to tell their clients to intake a lot of calories. But you need to know that calories are a good thing and carbs are also a good thing. Now, when I say carbs, I'm not talking about sitting around, you know, eating a whole pack of Snickers and candy and, you know, whatever all day. I'm talking about, you know, positive carbs like your Ezekiel bread, your steel cut oatmeal, your whole grains, things like that, that are good and positive carbohydrates for the body, all right? That doesn't mean go to McDonald's and order the whole dollar menu talking about, you know, you got to get your carbs in. Those are bad carbs. You end up putting on weight, it's bad weight, it's not muscle weight, and then you end up holding a lot of water because you're intaking bad carbs, which have a high sodium content, which hold a lot of water on the body, so then you end up looking like just a bloated, bad built person, you know, in the gym, and then you start to get like a little pot belly and clothes ain't fitting right, and you look at the scale and you gaining weight, but you look at your body and you built like homeboy from Despicable Me. So that's not what you want to do. Oh, let's see what else. What else I got? That's it. So, in this description of this video, all right, so click down, expand it out. I'm going to put a sample version of a supplement stack for ectomorphs, something that ectomorphs can use. So it'll include your, you know, glutamine, creatine, pre-workout if you want to take pre-workout, and it will include kind of a baseline schedule for when you should take those things and how much you should take to start off. Of course, everybody's different tolerance level, slightly different genetics, so the response may vary, but in general, just ballparking it out for most people of an ectomorph type, this will be something that can benefit you moving forward to help you gain weight. I would work with your trainer, nutrition, dietitian, or advisor, mentor on how you should be eating as far as specific foods and calorie intake based off your height. And then your lifestyle too. You got to make sure that you're getting 4 to 6 meals in a day. That doesn't mean huge, thick, sit-down meals. A lot of times they're just moderate snacks that are packed with the amount of nutrients that you need, all right? So I would do a little bit of research and gain some knowledge and preferably some advice and assistance with that as well, all right? So let me know how y'all like this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Send this to a friend who may be struggling to gain weight, or to a trainer who may be working with a client who wants to gain weight and they may not come from a, you know, naturally skinny person background. So this is something that they're going to need assistance with. All right. I'll see y'all later. Peace. All right, we back. back with another video in our Ectomorph series. So the first video was about some fundamentals about Ectomorph in a extreme way. So we're talking about the naturally skinny person or a person that you would deem super skinny. So once again, just to review, the Ectomorph in the extreme way would be someone who is really thin, really slim, really skinny. But with that being said, the most extreme Ectomorph category, they will also have really slim features. So, you know, really slim face line, jaw, neck, you know, really, you know, thin, super narrow hips, waist, shoulders. They're kind of built really straight up and down, longer limbs, tapered or really skinny, and don't hold a lot of weight around their joint areas like we discussed before. So around their knees may be a little bit more bonier or protruding, ankles, wrists, same way. Collarbone, all of those things are kind of profound and really stick out or stand out. So that would be the extreme Ectomorph. So that would be, I guess, like the entry level or tier 1 starting point for Ectomorph. So that's like the super extreme, super skinny. You can point them out in the crowd, no confusion. All right. So your cross country runners, long distance people, you know, stuff like that. So today we're going to talk about the next level up from the extreme super skinny Ectomorph. We're going to talk about the Ectomeso blend. So Ectomeso blend means you are still naturally slim or naturally skinny, but you do have mesomorph qualities. So with proper weight training or proper resistance training, proper dietary habits, you can put on weight at a fairly decent rate or put on muscle at a fairly decent rate, as long as you're staying honest and true to your weight gain or weight training resistance training program. So the difference in the two, and just to go into a little bit more detail about Ectomeso blend, these will still be your people who check off the fundamental boxes of maybe appearing to look like or have the qualities of an ectomorph. So these people may still have longer limbs, their muscles still may taper, they still may be on the slimmer side, not carrying a lot of additional weight or additional water weight. But these people, you will notice that some of their base frame will be a little bit bigger. So these are the people to where instead of looking at them and saying, oh, like they're just skinny, or you don't even think about it, you just consider them just like, you know, paper thin, straight up and down. These will be more of your people that look like, you know, they'll actually probably look a little bit more malnutrition or sicker when they don't have the weight, because these people actually tend to have a little bit of a bigger frame that needs to or should be or could be filled out. So your Ectomeso blends, they'll tend to have more bigger bone structure or appearance, or their shoulders may be wider, or their waist may be a little bit wider or more of width than the traditional Ectomorph, which is super skinny, super straight up and down. So you may see or have this kind of feeling with the Ectomeso as if, hey man, you need to gain some weight. Like you look like you missing some shit, you know, or you look like, you know, you could fill out your frame a little bit. So these people will still be on the naturally skinny side, but their frame will look as though they can hold a little bit more weight, or they could maybe put on a little bit more muscle. Like you can almost look at them and see where the muscle should be. Developed Ectomesos will have a muscular, toned, really fit and trim look to them, but they still won't really take up a whole lot of space. But these people will still, you know, be super ripped, or, you know, they'll still be fitting out, you know, filling out their clothes or whatever, but they won't necessarily be like your huge, big dudes, like your endomorphs, who are just like, you know, big, round, heavy guys, barely fit through the door, that type of shit. So your Ectomeso will be muscular, but they still won't be thick, if that makes any sense. So, you know, you'll see them. So ecto-meso, you may not really be able to tell how muscular or how big they are until maybe they're wearing something a little bit more fitted in nature, or their shirt or clothes may be off, or they may be wearing, you know, compression or spandex or something. And then, you know, you're like, oh, wow, like I didn't know, you know, you was, you know, that big, or I didn't know you had all that going on or whatever. You know, so your ecto-meso, once again, they won't be thick or girthy or chunky, but they will hold a little bit more muscle mass and have more of that developed frame about them, but they still will be more on the naturally skinnier side or slimmer side of things. So just to kind of put it into perspective, I got a list of a few famous people, you know, people may know that could fit into these categories. So a lot of your, if you're thinking about football, a lot of your wide receivers, some of your defensive backs will fit into this category of ecto-meso. You know, like a big guy who kind of changed the game or made a name for himself of being pretty slim, but like super muscular was like Terrell Owens. Some of your more relevant guys would be, you know, somebody like Josh Gordon or something like that, who's still, you know, both still really long-limbed and natured, really tall, obviously, but you can see that they're holding a lot of muscle mass on their frame, but they're still not, you know, super over-the-top, girthy, you know, huge, thick guys. Like, they're not taking up a bunch of space, but, you know, if you run into them, that shit may hurt a little bit. A lot of your world-class sprinters, or shorter sprinters, or people that run like the 100 meters and things like that at a world-class level, these people will also be some of your ecto-meso body type blends, to where they're pretty slim in nature, but they're holding a lot of muscle mass. Like you see, like really developed legs, really developed shoulders, really developed arms, and, you know, calves and all that type of stuff. So once again, not super huge and thick, you know, but like I said, when they're kind of stripped down or wearing tighter clothes or more compressed clothes, you see a lot of muscle tone, a lot of muscle definition, a lot of muscular development in these people, even though they're not super big and chunky. And basketball players too. So another popular ecto-meso body type would be LeBron James. LeBron James is 6'8", but if you run up on that dude, you know, that ain't a small dude. And he's very slimmer in nature. Once again, he checks off all the boxes of having the longer limbs and tapered muscles, with the shorter muscle bellies on his frame, but he's holding a lot of muscle mass, which allows him to be, of course, more explosive on the court and not super frail, as, you know, he's made his career off, you know, being just a better specimen than most people. So LeBron James is another really popular ecto-meso blend body type. Some famous people, if I can think of any, somebody who came into the game considered skinny and has kind of put on weight, you know, somebody like Trey Songz or something like that, you know, to where he's still pretty naturally slim in his frame, but of course, he's able to hold a little bit more muscle mass over the years as he's, you know, worked out and stuff like that. So just when you think about the ecto-meso blend, you're thinking about people who you wouldn't consider them big, but you wouldn't ever call them small either, if that makes any sense. So you can look up some of those people or kind of cross-reference what I'm saying, so you can get a pretty good, I guess, feel for what the ecto-meso type looks like. I'm gonna make another video about how to train as an ecto-meso. I am an ecto-meso myself, so some of our training can be tricky because it's like, I'm not trying to do too much and start losing weight, but, you know, I can gain weight pretty easy, but I'm still trying to stay in shape, or I'm not trying to, you know, get too big in the, you know, my stomach, or no, you know, stupid shit like that. So this video is just to really highlight the contrast between the extreme ecto and the ecto-meso blend. I hope y'all have a better feel for what the blend is. The next video will be about how the ecto-meso should work out, train, eat, and take care of their body from a nutrition perspective and resistance training perspective. See y'all later. Peace. What up? So we're back on the body type series. So we've done Ectomorph, which is your true, completely skinny person. You can find that video on YouTube. It's a little too long to put on IGTV. For that reason, I might make another one just so we can put it on IGTV. But for right now, you can go straight to YouTube, type in Ectomorph tips. It'll probably be right now 8th or 9th video down or something like that. If you need that link, DM me and I'll DM you that link directly, so you ain't gotta search for it. But we got Ectomorph up, then we've done the Ecto-Meso blend, which is on here and on YouTube. So today we're gonna be talking about our next phase, which will be Meso. So I say phase, that just means the next type. They don't go in phases. You know, these things are based on your genetic makeup. So they're already embedded, but our next type will be Meso, so strictly Meso. There's a picture that I posted before I started talking on this video. For those of you who know who that is, you already know what's up, but I'm gonna explain that. For those of you that don't know who that is CJ from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas from back in the day, PS3, PlayStation 3, back in the day. I put that picture up because for the people who know who that is, they remember playing the game. They remember, you know, if you ate a lot with CJ, he got fat. If you didn't eat and you spent all your time running away from the cops on the game, then he got skinny. Or, you know, you went to the little gym that was down the street from Grove Street on the game, you know, he would get swollen and shit. So I put that video and I made that reference to relate to Mesomorph and to let people know that the Mesomorph body type, for a lack of a better term, just to sum it up, they are what they do. So if you're a Mesomorph, then you are what you do. So this body type is a body type that if you eat a lot, you get big. If you don't eat a lot or you eat really light, then you'll get smaller. If you lift a bunch of weights, you'll get swole. If you do a bunch of cardio, you'll lean out. So this body type is right in the middle of all the other body types and all the other blends. This is kind of the center point, the neutral body type. To know if you're this body type, you'll probably see that, or you'll probably know that it starts off in childhood. So, you know, you're probably a natural sized kid, normal height, normal weight, you know, nice, you know, healthy, you know, neck and wrist and, you know, joint areas, all that type of stuff. You may have had, you know, just a normal looking body. You just look like a nice, healthy, you know, proportionate kid. You know, you wasn't super tall and skinny. You weren't, you know, overly big and thick or round or nothing like that. You just kind of look like a little, you know, normal size, cute looking, cartoon looking kid or some shit, you know. So from childhood, you can tell you're a Mesomorph if you just looked just like, or you were built like just a normal kid. And that kind of stayed that way throughout your progression, you know, into your adolescent and teen and adult years. So if you kind of look at your body and it's kind of like, you know, I wouldn't call myself, if you're saying to yourself, I wouldn't call myself skinny, definitely not bigger or fat. You know, you may or may not have a nice muscular tone, but you kind of just fall right in the middle. Like you just look like a guy, you just look like a girl. There's nothing super special unless you've been doing something and then you notice that, you know, you're kind of tipping to either way. So the Mesomorph is, to sum up, you are what you do, but you tend to kind of meet in the middle of the rest of the body type. So today we're going to go through a few things for you to know, remember, identify, and maybe even work through, depending on who you are, if you are a Mesomorph body type. So tips on the phone, pull it up. So the thing that the Mesomorph body type will have to do, some Mesomorph body types may struggle with this, is that you have to really be intentional and tailor your workout program and what you do, because you are what you do. So if you want to gain weight or if you want to put on muscle, then you need to do things that look like that. Because if you do something else, then that's exactly what you're going to see, or those are the results you're going to get, you know. Versus in Ectomorph, where, you know, they can kind of mix it up or do some other stuff or kind of mix their routines, and, you know, they'll benefit from that because, you know, their body can handle a little bit more stress and it's not super reactive. So an ecto or an ectomeso can lift or something like that. And if they're not necessarily trying to get swole, that's okay, just because, you know, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to just wake up and be all buffed and rocked up. If you're a mesomorph that doesn't want to get swole and you're lifting weights all the time, or you're doing heavy resistance like training all the time, and you find yourself looking very muscular, then that's just what the fuck it is, you know. And it goes that way for the other extreme too. If you're a mesomorph and you find yourself running a lot or doing a lot of cardio, or you're running miles or some shit like that, and you're starting to look kind of skinny, and if that's not your goal, then you got to take a look at what you're doing. So unlike the extreme body types, which would be the ecto and the endomorph, so the endomorph is your naturally bigger person, these body types can at times get away with doing things that are not necessarily in direct relation to their goal, just because their body isn't so reactive. As far as, like, you know, the endomorph can do something, but they're not going to wake up skinny, or they're not going to wake up super swole. You know, same thing with the ectomorph. They're not going to wake up super swole just from one day of lifting weights, and they're not going to wake up, you know, overweight just because they had more than enough ice cream or Snickers the night before. Whereas as a mesomorph, you know, if you have a bunch of ice cream and Snickers, then you may wake up looking like endomorph. You know, or if all you ate that day was, all you've been eating is nothing but vegetables and vegan diet and drinking water and not eating meat, then that's what you're gonna look like. So this is a good thing, just because, you know, whatever you're doing, you can count on seeing that type of result, and you can count on seeing that type of progression rather quickly, if not immediately, for most mesomorph body types. But with that being said too, if there's a result or there's something that you don't want to happen, you have to be just as mindful to not do that, just because you have a very highly reactive body and highly reactive genetics, all right? So number 2 is make sure that you're following, for whatever your goal is as a mesomorph, make sure you're following a specific eating regimen and you're sticking to that. So just like the way that you train, you need to make sure that you're eating properly for whatever you want your goal to be, because just like I just mentioned, you know, you do have a highly reactive body. So if you're working out, if you're lifting a whole lot, but you're not fueling properly, or you're eating candy and sugar and sweets or junk food or cheeseburgers and shit like that, then, you know, you're going to look like that, you know. So once again, going back to the initial mantra to start off this video of you are what you do, it's going to be the same thing for your eating habits too. So just like I said, for the extreme types, the ecto and endo, who may be able to get away with doing certain things just because they're not highly reactive going downhill towards the meso body type or towards the other extreme, the meso is not going to be able to do that, because you are what you do, and in theory you are what you eat as well. All right. Phone just skipped all the way down. Oh, and then the last one today is just be in constant research, and this is for all body types, but especially for mesomorph, be in constant research in ways to make sure that you're staying fresh with your program and that you switch it up. I know that it could be frustrating for a mesomorph to feel like, you know, they were going this way and then all of a sudden they had a bad day and now they're going this way. And then they had a good day and they're going this way. Then a few bad days and now they're all the way back down. So this is something that you will have to deal with as a mesomorph in order to keep yourself focused, keep yourself motivated. Make sure that you're constantly and continuously looking for new programs, new ways to eat, new ways to fuel, new ways to hydrate, new ways to recover, new ways to keep your mental space healthy as well, because all of the built up stressors from everyday life will take a toll on how you look and how your body responds to training and nutrition habits as well. So make sure as a mesomorph specifically that you're staying on top of those things. But the good thing with that too, not to make all of this kind of sound like negative in a way, but a good thing with that too is that because of your body type, you can switch it up and see results immediately or see progression immediately a lot quicker than our ectotypes or our endotypes, just because, once again, beating a dead horse, you are what you do and you are what you eat. So you are what you are. This is the Mesomorph body type overview, tips and secrets. If you like this video, like, comment, share with a friend, share with somebody who may be showing some of these characteristics or some of these trends within themselves where, you know, you could have a super extreme friend that one moment they're in shape, the next moment they looking fat as hell, or they skinny, or just whatever. So they may have some mesomorph qualities about them. So if this is you, you know, hopefully this video helps you and maybe helps you to do a little bit more research about yourself or understand yourself a little bit better. And if you're somebody who's a Grand Theft Auto fan and you related to that picture that's in the front of this video, I really hope that resonates with you so you can kind of, you know, have that aha moment and know that, you know, that may be exactly how your body type is working. All right, see y'all later. Peace. What up? So, not so late today. It is about 9:59, so about 10 o'clock. So a little better than midnight. Busy days as always, but needed to get on here and get into our next level of the body type series. And today we're going to be talking about our meso-endo body type. So we have not spoken much on endo just because it's been a little bit further down the list. We've talked a lot about ecto and then we kind of transitioned into meso. Now it's time to transition into the opposite extreme from ecto. Remember, our ecto is our naturally skinny person, our slim person, and our endo will be our naturally bigger person, our girthier, heavier person, thicker person by nature. So today we're going to touch on the meso-endo first before we touch on the extreme endo. But of course, for you to understand anything about the endo, we got to go through, or meso-endo, we got to go through a little bit overview of endo. So endo is going to be a naturally really big person, the person who was maybe a chunky kid and they stayed that way. You know, they got older, they're still a little round, still a little heavy, nothing wrong with that. That's just how they were made, genetic disposition. It's all good, all right? It's just who they are. So endo's gonna be a naturally bigger person, you know, the same way that the ecto's gonna be your naturally skinny person. So take ecto, super skinny, endo, super big. Just keep those two extremes in your head so you understand the difference between ecto and endo, all right? But today we're going to be talking about meso-endo. So remember, meso has the tagline of you are what you do. And our endo is our extremely big person. So when you blend them together, you get this kind of very intriguing blend of a really big person who is somewhat kind of shapely and athletic. You know, so a lot of your meso-endo types, and I'll put a few pictures before this video started, so you can kind of get a feel for what a meso-endo type kind of looks like for a frame of visual reference. But your meso-endo is going to be like your defensive linemen. They're going to be your squattier running backs. A lot of bodybuilders have this body type. Bodybuilders come in all shapes and sizes, but a lot of your bodybuilders have this type naturally, just because they're already carrying naturally a little bit extra girth. So when they go on the really strict diets and they taper down and tone down and shred off some water weight, I mean, they look amazing because, you know, in reality, they're natural big boys. So, you know, once they get into a hypertrophy phase and fat burning phase, I mean, they look amazing because, you know, they already packing the meat, no homo, they're already packing the meat. You know, they just gotta tighten it up a little bit, and then they be big as fuck, intimidating as fuck to some people. All right. Your security guards, you know, your traditional cliche security guard is probably going to be a meso-endo, you know, type body type. You know, nice, you know, height, nice stature, big dude taking up space. So our endomorphs are going to be thicker, they're going to be girthier, they're going to be taking up space. And our meso-endo is going to take up that space, but they're still going to have a very kind of shapely or toned or really kind of silhouette-like presence, the same way that the traditional meso does and the ecto-meso does. So you may, you know, see a dude and it's like, man, that dude can move for his size, you know, but with the meso-endo, they kind of have a little bit of both worlds going on, because with them being meso, they are still what they do. So you could have a meso-endo body type who, if they work really hard at shredding pounds or losing that weight, then you may see them trim up a little bit while their nature still remains, you know, a big boy, big girl, just whatever. You know, they'll still maintain some of that natural, you know, God-given girth from birth, but you'll see them kind of taper it down, trim it up, and they'll look really good and still be in really good shape while maintaining, you know, that natural born size that they have. Some things that meso-endos need to remember, just a few quick tips today, is that body weight exercises, HIIT training, kickboxing, rowing, you know, anything that can get your heart rate up while you have resistance added to it. You can jump around and do light, you know, micro bound plyometric type movements, sprints. All of these things work wonders for meso-endo body types. Of course, you can jog around and all that kind of stuff, but you're carrying a lot of weight. So while that might seem like the thing to do because it makes sense, it may not be the best for you. Remember, you still have some meso going on. So you can, you know, do some of those high intensity movements. You know, you may still have, you know, higher muscle attachments or shorter muscle bellies in a sense. You know, they just carry more meat around them. So you're still really built for those explosive activities, of course, along with lifting weights and things like that too. But, you know, when it comes to cardio and, you know, keeping the water weight off and still maintaining a good figure, you know, to counteract some of your natural endo qualities, you know, if you don't want to be walking around too big or too bloated and you still kind of want to stay in shape, those high intensity, you know, interval type training things will work wonders for your body type, maybe more so than the Mesomorph, just because you can probably go a little bit harder and still maintain a really good size and a really good shape because your body wants to stay bigger. Whereas the Meso, they go hard and they'll go, you know, they can go this extreme or that extreme, but with you, you kind of stay over here, you know, so you can kind of be here and then maintain this, you know, kind of nice mid ground a little bit better than the Meso, you know, because you know you're going to maintain that good quality size, that good, you know, nice shapely figure if you're a woman with this body type, and you can really go hard with high intensity things and, you know, power, you know, lifts and things like that. All right. Multiple small meals to keep your metabolism high. So remember, even though you got the meso quality going on, never forget that you are still, you know, naturally an endomorph in a sense, you know, 50-50. So, you know, don't take the fact that you have a really nice shape for granted, you know, along with your endo, and, you know, start stuffing your face with a bunch of sugar and a bunch of salt, and now you're holding way more water than you need to, or your heart's overworking and you're in a non-healthy place, if you will. So make sure you're doing multiple small meals a day. You intake lots of water. You keep your hydration levels up. You keep a healthy heart, healthy insides. You're always kind of detoxing some of those things. You may want to try like, you know, hemp oil or CBD, something like that is really good too. And then the last thing I'm gonna leave with y'all today, this video is not gonna be super long, is find somebody that relates to your journey. So at the end of this video, I'm going to put up a few names of people who I believe have this body type, who I know some of these people have this body type. You may want to go and follow them or reach out to them if you feel comfortable and ask them for tips, or if these are trainers that I tag, you can message them and ask if they can maybe help you out. You know, these are people who I know they've had somewhat of a big boy or big girl journey. I'm really big on not talking too much about things I've never actually done or I don't really connect to. I connect to the naturally skinny environment. I connect to some of the mesomorph environment. I connect to the athlete environment. I don't really connect to the big boy, big girl environment. I've never been a natural big boy, big girl. I've had to eat a lot and pick up a bunch of heavy shit to try to gain weight over the years, which has been successful, but I don't have a endo-like body type. So I want to do my part and steer you guys in the right direction to people who do have these types of qualities, who have been through these types of journeys, because they'll be able to give you a lot more in-depth and specific tips and things that you can do. I'm just scratching the surface with this. I'm gonna make the video about endos, but I'm gonna send you to some people who are straight up, you know, extreme endomorphs, and then you can talk to them. So I just want to give y'all some of this education, give you some things that you can do to the best of my knowledge, but make sure you know that you can do these high intensity, you know, interval type training things for your cardio. They work wonders for you. Don't take your shape for granted. Still be eating multiple small meals and drinking plenty of water. Don't be adding sugar and salt and all that shit to your food, you know, because your body wants to naturally hold on to those things at a higher rate than the other body types, the meso and ecto type body types, you know, and then find someone who relates to your journey. So like I said, I'm gonna tag some people at the end of this video. You won't be able to click on it, but of course you can see the name. You can, you know, remember the name. We all grown. Remember the name, type it in, go search these people. These are people that I know have been through some type of big boy, big girl journey, and they look amazing now, or they've, you know, really turned their life around, or, you know, achieved their results and overcame that adversity of being a big person who had goals to really tone up or really get muscular and fit. All right, see y'all later. Peace. Today, we talk about the big boys and girls, and I say that with love, no shade. I actually think bigger people have a better look to them. Like, I don't know, y'all just seem more marketable, y'all fit y'all clothes better, but that's because too, I come from more of the ecto side of things, always, you know, growing up wanting to be thicker and shit. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But today we talk about the endomorph, which is going to be your naturally bigger, naturally rounder, fuller body type person. So wide waist, wide hips, holding a lot of meat and girth around the joint areas, so around the ankles, around the neck, a little extra weight in the face, a little extra kind of cushion, if you will, around the knees, around, you know, feet area, all that kind of shit. Once again, no shade, just trying to point out some things to kind of highlight the endomorph body type. So today we're talking about the extreme endomorph, which is your extreme round person. Some things that you need to look for and notice about yourself if you are an endomorph or have endomorph qualities. So once again, this video can also relate to and help people of the meso endo body type. because you still have some of those things about you that carry over, but not so much extreme. So meso, you do have a little bit easier time morphing yourself back into a smaller state or more of a fit state, if you will. The extreme endotype, you know, you really struggle to keep the weight off, keep the pounds off, etc. All right, so after this video, I'll be making my usual posts with pictures and everything to kind of highlight what the endo body type actually looks like on an extreme level, so you know if you're an endo body type or not. Now, before I get into these facts, my first disclaimer is that, of course, I am not of endo body type. I've never struggled with keeping weight off. I've never struggled with big boy problems or, you know, being a thick kid or a fat kid or nothing like that. So I want to say that before I continue, I do not personally relate to being a big person on a practical level. So if you are a big person and you hear me say something that doesn't really sound 1000% true, know that I'm doing my best to come from a textbook perspective and a research perspective. This video won't be coming from so much or so deep on a practical level. So I want to go ahead and get that out there because I like to kind of stay true to what I actually know. But of course, I do need to finish the body type series. All right, number 2, and then I'll get into some tips. Number 2, please pay attention to what it is I'm going to say, because even though I do not relate to the endomorph being a naturally big person in an extreme way, and I don't want to speak for endomorphs, but I'm going to take it upon myself to speak for endomorphs when I say this. Know if you're an endomorph. Know the difference between being an endomorph and being overweight. Not the same shit, all right? Your ass can be overweight because you don't eat right, you don't sleep enough, your ass ain't working out, you're not doing the proper workouts or training properly for your body type, whatever that body type is, not an endomorph, and you're just overweight or you have other bad or poor dietary lifestyle habits that are causing you to have an unhealthy lifestyle and carry a lot of water weight, a lot of unnecessary calories and energy on your body. So just because you are bigger, overweight, have problem areas, you know, your stomach may not be looking right, whatever, don't be trying to check off the box that you're an endomorph. That's disrespectful, because we got people out here who are actually struggling with a traditional extreme endomorph body type, who are struggling to lose weight all day, every day, who have to do specific things. So don't call yourself an endomorph if you're not. Call yourself overweight. Call yourself lazy. Call yourself needing to get your shit together. Don't call yourself an endomorph. All right, cool. So now, here we go. Endomorph tip number 1. You are very sensitive to carbs, sugar, and alcohol. So with that being said, you want to make sure when you're having fun, when you're going out, you may want to research different drinks or things that you can have that still taste good, still may give you a slight buzz, but maybe instead of doing like, you know, Crown and Coke, you do like Crown and Sprite, something lighter, or maybe Crown and Club Soda, something like that. Now, of course, this doesn't sound as fun on the surface, but if you have a goal to lose weight, cut the calories, cut down on the sugar, cut down on the carbohydrates, you're gonna have to do some of those things. Now, I will say that endomorphs seem to struggle the most with their dietary habits just because everything is so restrictive. You know, they don't really have a lot of leeway into what they can do, cheat meals and kind of slacking off and things like that, that some of the other types have or have the luxury of doing. But what the endomorph is able to do is they are able to go hard all the time. And that is my next point, to where working out and exercise and cardio and group exercise classes and running for long distances and doing high intensity interval training and lifting weights, it all works for you, all right? So I know that endomorphs too may or may not struggle with wanting to exercise and feeling motivated, but once you make it up in your mind that, you know, the sky's the limit as far as what you can do from a movement standpoint and exercise standpoint, as far as how it pertains to your goals and seeing results. I mean, you guys can literally do anything you want to, you know, almost as much as you want to, you know, to to a certain extent, because we all need to rest and recover so we can grow and repair and continue to burn those calories the right way through dietary habits. But you guys can do just about whatever you want to. You know, just make sure that, of course, because you're holding a lot more weight, that you're still stretching, still taking care of your joints, still drinking a lot of water, so that you don't put a lot of unnecessary stress on your body and on your joint areas, because you are naturally carrying a little bit more weight. With that being said, you guys can do a lot more longer activities, longer duration activities. A lot of endomorphs don't have a very high count of fast twitch fibers, so you're gonna have more slow twitch fibers in your body, which means that you may get tired a lot faster while you're doing something, but you actually recover pretty quickly too. And of course, you know, it's case by case as far as like the specific person, but when I'm speaking of recovery, I mean, if you have a, you know, ectomorph who's running a race, they may not get tired from point A to point B, but after they're done with point B, they may need a little bit of time to recover and regroup some of those fast twitch fibers. Whereas an endomorph, you may get tired or start to feel fatigue from point A to point B, but you snap out of it really quick and you can go for long durations of time. So while working out may not feel pleasant in the moment, you know that you can really go hard and really dedicate yourself, and you don't have to be so overly strategic about what it is that you want to do and when you want to do it, outside of making sure that you recover properly and that you're getting enough sleep. All right. Heavy water intake, heavy vegetable intake, and try to make sure that you're eating most of your fruits in the morning, just because they still do have those natural sugars and natural carbs that your body type naturally wants to hold on to at a higher rate, which of course, for you and the way your genetics are set up, it's going to be really hard for you to burn that off at a fast rate. Another thing that I would suggest to endomorph types and endomorph types that I work with, I tell them to make sure that they're always tracking what they eat and they maintain a set schedule and regimen as far as what they're doing on a daily basis as it relates to their exercise and dietary needs, just because everything that you do counts. But once again, sky is really the limit. You guys can kind of go balls to the wall, if you will. No disrespect to the women, but you know, it's not a whole lot that you're not going to be able to do to obtain your goals. Whereas the ectomorph has to make sure they don't do too much cardio, and the mesomorph has to make sure they don't do too much of, you know, any given thing, because they can, you know, switch it on and off, you know, to both extremes at any given time. Whereas an endomorph, your goal is to lose weight, tone up, get in shape. I mean, you can pretty much go hard on a daily basis, switching up your activities, you know, jumping around, running around, lifting weights, doing whatever you need to do just to kind of make sure that you keep your body shocked and in a adaptation mode and phase, so that you can obtain your goals. So, and of course, this is me speaking from more of like the ecto-meso kind of realm, to where I wish I could just, you know, do shit and not have to worry about, oh man, I'm gonna burn too much calories, or I gotta really stuff my face, or I'm gonna start losing weight, or just whatever. So I think it's pretty cool. You know, of course, if you are endo, you may be like, yeah, easy for you to say, because you ain't gotta worry about this shit. But, you know, I think it's pretty, you know, endomorphs, you know, I would try to make the best of it, you know, if it was me. But with that being said, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about endomorphs, just because I like to speak from a place of practical experience, hands-on experience, things that I've actually felt and dealt with in real life. I'm like that with everything. It's really easy for me to stay in my lane, but of course I needed to be fair and consistent and wrap up this body type series. But in this video and then in the next post, I'm going to tag people that I know on a personal level who have either endomorph qualities, so they could be a meso-endo type, or they could be straight up endo, who have morphed themselves completely, or who maintain a healthy lifestyle regardless of their body type. I'm going to tag those people in this post and in the next post. Follow them, like, comment, share their content as well, and reach out to them, send them a direct message, link up with them. Maybe they have like some, you know, personal training or some guides and things that you can kind of follow. I'm going to also create an Endomorph guide along with the other body type guides, which will be on the wrxiii.com and also wrx.iii for purchase. So you can check those out too. But that's all I got today. It's kind of hot in this damn house. Need to turn AC on. But I'm going to see y'all later, man. Peace.